All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mason Duke, and I'd like to welcome you all here on behalf of the Economic Alliance. We are pleased to be working once again with digital marketing specialist Caroline Sancken, who is here today to talk to us about putting together a 3-month content calendar for social media. So take it away, Caroline.
All right. Everyone can hear me, right? Great. All right. So we are going over how to set up your strategic social content system. So there is going to be strategy involved in this. So you're not just throwing content at a wall like spaghetti. And by the end of this, you will all hopefully have planned 3 months of content in a very small amount of time. So we're hoping to save you time for now and in the future. So a little bit about me, if you don't know, I've worked in digital marketing since 2010. I worked with a lot of entertainment brands, fast food chains. I've done environmental nonprofits, news publishers, and hotels. So almost everything. And I used to create the social content for TV shows across a bunch of networks. So NBC Universal, ABC Family, Sony Telemundo, and Fox Studios. And doing that, as you know, each studio does not just have one show, they have multiple. And so that meant I managed the daily content for multiple accounts. And I really needed to be good at planning and scheduling. So I'm teaching you those tricks. And then what do I do now? Just so you also know, I'm still in the social space. So I started my own social advertising company in 2024 after I got laid off from a job. And now I work with small to mid-sized businesses and I help them grow online and offline by using social ads. So going over our agenda today, we're going to go over putting together your strategy and what it means to set up a clear goal. We're going to go over content pillars and something called a content pie. Has anyone heard of any of these before, or is this all new? All right, you get to learn all new things today. This is great. And then we're going to go over your 3-month plan or 90 days. So just to give you a little background into why you don't really want to post randomly and why it's important to have a strategy and a plan when you are putting together your content, is that most small business owners are randomly posting. You don't have that much time. You don't have a marketing department. It's hard to put it together. But data shows that consistency is really the differentiator. And so I say consistency because you don't need to be posting 5 times a week, 10 times a week. It just matters that you are doing it on a regular basis. So a few things I wanted to pull out to show you is 97% of marketers use content marketing. That's basically everybody. And only 39% of business to consumer, so B2C marketers, actually document their strategy. So that's not that many of them. However, 78% of those companies that do describe their marketing as very successful actually have a documented plan in place. So most of them have a plan. And something that you should know is that content marketing is not really just brand awareness and getting your name out there. It actually really works at generating sales and driving revenue. And so this can generate 3 times as many leads as traditional outbound marketing, and it costs a lot less. You can do it basically for free, posting on social. And then something that you should also know is that engagement with your content often leads to more sales as well. So again, B2C customers spend 20 to 40% more money with brands that actively engage and interact with them on social media. That's quite a lot. You just engaging with your customers will help them spend more money with you. And a calendar ensures that you don't really miss these opportunities of engagement. And also, again, B2C content produces nearly 10 times more social shares than B2B, which is business to business content. And so you want to think about shareability when you're making content as well, because your customers actually can then become sort of your sales force without paying them a salesperson salary by sharing your content out to their network. So I wanted to highlight just one case study, which is Dollar Shave Club. Have you all heard of Dollar Shave Club, or yes, no? Okay, some no, some yes. But anyway, basically Gillette owned the market for razors. They had a 72% market share, and Dollar Shave Club knew that they couldn't really compete with their budgeting and their staff and everything that they had. And what they did is they created a video. Now, $4,500 to a lot of brands is not that much money. People spend hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars on creating content. But they were like, okay, we're going to create one really good piece of content. We're going to hire a production team, and we're just going to make this. And they had a plan for how they were going to share that and when they were going to post it. And so their video, again, it was $4,500. It was called "Our Blades Are Effing Great." I won't swear on the recording. And what they did is they addressed a universal pain point about razors, the high cost and inconvenience of having to keep buying razors. One video, and within 48 hours, they got 12,000 orders. And it was so many that their servers actually crashed. Like the whole thing just shut down. They weren't quite prepared for the success of that video. And I just wanted to share that, you know, they didn't have better tech than Gillette. They didn't have a bigger team, but they had a strong voice and they had a content plan, and that solved a specific problem for their audience. And they launched it when they did, and the success sort of speaks for itself. And they're still around, along with Gillette. But you know, Gillette didn't kill them. So, if you don't have a goal with your content, you're really just making noise. And I know a lot of times it's like, oh, I should post something. But if there's no reasoning behind it or why, then there's no need. So, you all can take turns unmuting, or you can comment in Zoom, and anyone here can speak up as well. But one word, you can expand to a few if you want. But how do you feel when you realize you have nothing ready to post? I said today, but sort of when you want to post, how does it make you feel? And you don't have anything set up.
Uninspired.
Uninspired. It's a good one.
Realized.
Yeah.
Defeated and annoyed.
Defeated and annoyed. Yeah. Yeah.
I can imagine panic probably in certain situations.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Anxiety.
Yep. All right. See, we all feel similar. No one feels great about not having something ready to post. So now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much of your current social media strategy is done while you're sitting in your car or late at night in bed or on the toilet or wherever else you're, things you have to do during the day and you maybe think about social media or content. I see them.
6 or 7.
6 or 7, yeah.
I think it's like when you sit down to do like work, okay, I'm gonna do social media now, then your like brain goes blank, but it's always those other times when you're thinking about it, and then you're like, oh, that's a good idea, but then translating it into like work time,
It's quite difficult. I
Got a 9 from Sarah.
I agree. Yeah. I gather most are at least above 5. And that makes sense. That's why I'm hoping that this can change it for everybody. So now, my last question, which is, if I gave you $1,000 to spend on one post today, do you know which of your posts from last month would have given you the best return? Again, depends on your goals. So, and you don't need to tell me what it is, but do you have a clear idea or not really?
Would it be LinkedIn?
So yeah, you could do LinkedIn also. Yeah, anywhere, any platform where you post content.
I'm trying to post more and I'm not posting that much, I think, because I don't have a plan, but I think I have one post where I know I got a client and they commented on that post. So that what gives me that signal is just an actual conversion,
Yeah,
like me,
yeah.
and also that they commented.
That's great. And that's so great to know that. And that's something that I will also tell you regularly too, is as you're laying out your content plan, you also want to go back and look at how things have done, because that's how you can continue to tailor your strategy, again, depending on your goals. And so Felice, you got a conversion from it, which, if that was the goal, then great. You're like, okay, these are more of the things that I want to try and post because this is the outcome from it. And if you want engagement, it's like, okay, let me look back. What were the things that I said or the visuals I shared that ended up getting more engagement? And that's where I can do more of that type of content. But always understanding the why can help as well. So we are going to go over content goals because that is important to set before you actually start building out any sort of content plan. And again, this goes back to your strategy, because everything needs to support what it is that you're trying to aim for. Otherwise, again, you're just posting into the void without a goal in mind. So I'm sure, or maybe not sure, that some of you have heard of this framework before. Maybe yes, maybe no. But I like to work in a SMART goal framework because it helps you actually measure the success of what you are posting. And again, this spans across all platforms, including email, if you're doing email marketing as well. So first, we're going to start with the S, which is specific. So instead of saying something like get more engagement, you have to actually define what that means. Otherwise, you don't really know how to measure how you did. So, for example, you can say, I want to increase organic link clicks to the Shop All page from my link in bio. Right? So when you have that as something specific, you know that the content that you're going to create is going to try and drive that. And yours can be anything, but you want it to be specific. So next, it also needs to be measurable. Otherwise, you have no idea, again, how to define success. So instead of lots of clicks, you need to define what that means with either a clear number or a percentage. So you can say, I want to get 50 clicks per week, or I want to get 5 clicks per week, or I want to increase the number of clicks by 5%. But that way, again, you can measure whether your content is working or not working if you have a specific measurable number. Next is you want it to be achievable. Otherwise, you're just going to feel like you're failing all the time. And no one wants that. So this should be a feel-good type of thing. So you want to make sure that your goals are actually realistic and achievable. So I said previously, okay, I'm going to try and get 50 clicks per week. If you currently get 20 clicks per week, aiming for 50 is a realistic goal. If you're getting 0 clicks and you say, I want to get 50 clicks per week, that is not very realistic, and you're going to think that what you're doing is not working. So you want to build it up over time. And so your goals are going to change regularly as you grow and build. But again, you need to have goals in mind when you put together your 3 months content strategy. So next is you want to make sure that it is relevant to your overall business goals. So if your business goal is to get more people to your online shop, then driving traffic to your shop page is going to impact that number, right? And that's part of your overall business goal. If your business goal is to get more market share, like Dollar Shave Club did from Gillette, then that is more brand awareness, right? You need more people to know about you. And so that can be your goal. And so then you want to make sure that what you're doing in terms of content is going to help you get your brand out there. So all of it ties back to your business, and you're not just creating content, again, for no reason. And then the T is for time bound. It's not forever. And so you want to give yourself a time frame for which you hope to accomplish this goal. This also needs to be achievable and not too drastic. Again, so you don't feel too bad. So you can say achieve this by the end of March. You know, you've got 3 months to do something. Doing something in a week is quite hard. So just make sure you're giving yourself enough time to do that. And so I wanted to put it together in a few examples to show you different types of sort of businesses or nonprofits and how it can relate to different SMART goals. So here's an example of an animal shelter. And let's say they just want more people to help out at the shelter. They're looking for volunteers. So instead of just saying we want more volunteers at the shelter, the goal becomes we will secure 15 new volunteer applications for our Weekend Walkers program by March 31st. I know the exact number, I know what program, and I have a deadline for this. And now we go into, we will achieve this by posting 3 organic behind the scenes reels per week that showcase the dogs currently waiting for walks and sharing 2 volunteer spotlight stories to highlight the ease of the sign up process. Now I know exactly how I'm going to do it. This supports our organizational goal of reducing staff workload and increasing animal socialization. And you tie it back to the business goal. So while we want more people to help out at the shelter, it's very concise and short. How do you actually get there? And having a SMART goal lays it out for you, which makes putting your content together a lot easier. So you don't have to think about things on the spot. So now if you're a local bakery, you want to sell more sourdough bread on the weekends. So the SMART goal version of this could be, I will increase pre-orders for Saturday sourdough loaves by 25%. 25% might sound like a big number, but I then clarify moving from 20 to 25 loaves. It's not that much of a jump to go from making 20 loaves to 25. So again, that's realistic and achievable over the next 4 weeks. So my timeline is about a month. And now I'm going to talk about how I'm going to do this. I will achieve this organically by using education content to post 1 video per week explaining the 48-hour fermentation process, and by posting a reminder story every Thursday with a direct link sticker to the pre-order form. This ensures guaranteed revenue before the doors open on Saturday morning. So you're getting people to pre-order. And this is not posting 7, 10 times a week. This is, I'm going to post 1 time a week a video, and then I'm going to post a reminder every Thursday. That is posting 2 times a week. But now you have a plan for exactly what you're going to make, and then you know exactly when to do it. So you're taking all the guesswork out of it and just allowing you to work in basically a framework. And so let's say you have a brick and mortar shop, maybe it's a clothing shop, and you want more people to come into the shop to see, let's say, the new spring arrivals. Or maybe you have a stationery shop, but it's a physical location and you want people to come in and check out what you have. So then your SMART goal, besides I want more people to come into the shop, becomes I will drive 40 unique organic visits to this store during the first week of April by offering a social media secret code for a free branded tote bag with any purchase over $50. So that is very specific. I know what I'm doing. And then I'm going to say how that success will be measured. So success will be measured by tracking how many customers mention the code at the register. Now I need to know, how am I actually going to promote that? I will do so by posting daily teaser photos of the new collection in my feed and talking about the secret code in my daily stories. And then maybe this is the bigger business goal, right? This supports our goal of clearing out winter inventory and launching the spring season with high foot traffic. So now that you've seen a few examples, what I would love for all of you to do is you can take 5 minutes. You can let me know if you need more time. But I want you to take one of your vague goals, or even if you don't even have a goal for the quarter, now's the time where you can make one. And so what I want you to do is rewrite it as a SMART goal. And so give yourself something specific to work with that you want to do this quarter. Or let's say over the next 3 months. Because we're going to be building out that content for you. These are the building blocks. So I want you to think of one SMART goal for yourself. If it helps, I always find this quite difficult to do and very challenging because it forces you to think about quite a lot up front. But what you'll learn as I go through the workshop today is that you do quite a lot of the work up front, and then it becomes a very easy plug and play down the line. All right, I won't put anyone on the spot. Does anyone want to share what their SMART goal is? No one has to, but if you want to, you can.
I'll go if this is helpful. I'm a journalist who went through layoffs in June, so I've had my own media advisory. So my goal is I'm just becoming a Forbes contributor and do 2 posts a month about the intersection of AI and entrepreneurship. The goals that I have hoping to come out of that are to get invited to more events to speak, which specifically this one conference I went to last year led to a strategic advisor role with an AI startup and another potential contract. So my specific goals, giving myself until like September, say February to September, doing 2 posts a month about AI and entrepreneurship. Will that get me more paid speaking engagements, consulting work with AI and entrepreneurial companies?
Amazing. That's perfect.
Thank you.
I'm sorry about the layoffs, and also congratulations on starting your own thing.
Thank you.
I have been there, so I know it. Thank you for sharing.
Sure. Thank you. This is super helpful.
Oh, good. And that's such a realistic goal too. When people are like, I'm going to post 5 times a week, and then I'm going to do these stories, and I'm like, hold on, you're going from nothing to that is a lot. Like, why don't you can always add more, but start with something that does seem.
Well, I don't know if this also applies to other people here, but also it's like what I can control. Like I have things I'm excited to post for projects I'm doing, but in ways it's out of my control because I'm waiting for them to publish or and it's not like I have the same level of control when it publishes. But this one thing I can control when I can speak about it.
Yeah, exactly. And that is such a smart thing to do, is take out the things that are out of your control instead of trying to incorporate that in.
Thank you.
Amazing. All right, we'll keep going to our content pillars now. And so this is how you build the framework for the content that you are going to share. And Christine, your example was actually a very good one. So your content pillars, for anybody who doesn't know, are the 3 to 5 recurring topics that you own, that you're an expert in, that you will talk about consistently to build authority and trust. So these are all personal to you. And so if you want to think about your social profiles as a magazine, your pillars are really your recurring section, if that helps you think about it. So when you think about a magazine, there's always the editorial. There are maybe how-to guides or letters to the editor. You know, there's specific sections, and you always know no matter what the content is, the content will always change. Again, the structure and the layout is the same, so you always know what you're getting, and that's what your content pillars are. So a great pillar lives at the intersection of your expertise, your audience's problems, and your business goals. So again, Christine, you just set me up perfectly. That is what one of your pillars should be. So what you want to do when you are determining your pillars, you want to first identify your expertise. And again, you can narrow this down. So think about, what are the 3 things that people always ask you for advice on or ask you questions on? And just think about those top 3 things, because you are likely an expert in it. It's very hard to think that what you know is an expert versus someone else. But you probably know a lot more than you give yourself credit for. And so think about what people ask you. The next is identify your audience pain points. So what keeps your customers or your clients up at night? And how does what you do or your product or your service solve that for your audience? And then we have what I call the dinner party test. So if you are at a dinner party and someone asked about your business or what you do, what are the 3 main stories or facts you would want them to walk away with? And that's quite telling as well, because those are the stories that you want to tell and you want to share. And so the benefits of really having your content pillars defined is you don't ever have to ask that question that I asked you earlier, is what should I post today? All you need to ask yourself is, which pillar am I filling today? That's a lot easier to do than having a blank slate of what should I post. It helps you build authority and people start to engage and follow that. So when you talk about the same 3 to 5 things consistently, the algorithm and your followers, this is across all platforms, starts to see you as an expert in those specific areas. So then what does that lead to? That leads to brand consistency. So it then prevents your feed from looking like a random collection of thoughts and ensures that your message stays focused. And you can think about the people who you might follow on LinkedIn, on social media, and the things that they post about and why you follow them. Oftentimes, because you're getting tips or education or you're learning things from them because they are regularly posting the same things over and over again. So again, when you create 90 days of content, you're not actually creating 90 days of unique pieces of content. You're, again, just filling in these pillars. So unless you're posting 5+ times a day and you're like a multifaceted business, you need to just think about 3 pillars. You don't need to think about 5. So not too long ago, the content pillars actually used to be educate, inspire, and promote. There were 3, and all your posts needed to educate or inspire or promote. But actually now it's moved to more of a subject-based pillar system. And what you want to do is keep a healthy mix of all your pillars. So you're going to have 3, and you want to, as much as you can, try and keep a pretty even balance between these 3. So first is your signature. So this is the one where you focus on the specific knowledge, your specialized knowledge, your expertise, your mastery of your business or what you do. And this really helps you establish yourself as an expert in the area, and that you know this business better than anybody else. So this can cover, there's a lot more of what it can cover. I put in a few, but you know, sourcing materials, technical skills, science behind the product, and specific methodology. Then you've got your next pillar, your industry perspective. And so this focuses on your unique point of view on what's going on in your industry. So that could be AI, it could be what's happening with ice rinks, it could be what's happening in the paper and stationery business. Could be anything, but it is, again, your unique perspective on your industry. And so this is where it deals with trends, certain myths, and like the world or the environment that your particular business lives in. And this is how you establish credibility in your area, that you're not just giving your expertise, you're also commenting on your business and how it plays out in the world. So what this area covers, you can debunk common industry myths, you can comment on new trends that you see, and sharing a vision for how you believe that industry should be, which is always very interesting for people and looking at the future. And then the third pillar is your brand identity. So this one really focuses on human values, your community, and the specific transformation that your brand can provide. And so this really creates a deep emotional bond with your followers, with your community, and creates connection with them. So this can cover your mission, the community impact, the lifestyle of your ideal customer, and your core values. So everything you post is going to fit within these 3 pillars. And then you have your content pie. So your pillars are your what, and the pie is your how much. Like, how much do I post about this in my brand identity? Or how much do I post behind the scenes in my signature pillar, right? So everything fits into 3 pillars, and then this is how you break down the topics. So without your pillars, your content can be quite random and confusing, and people don't really know why they should follow you. But without the pie, that's where your content can get unbalanced. And you can either sell too much if you keep sharing your offers, and that's pretty annoying to people, or maybe you give too much and you realize you're not actually meeting your revenue goals. And so this is where you break down your percentages of this is how much I'm going to post in this area underneath these pillars. So you have your offers, which is sort of the direct ask. You have your why, which is really the heart of what you do. You have your behind the scenes, which is transparency, and that is your trust builder. You have your education, which is you as the teacher and establishes you as the expert. You have your lifestyle relatable content, and that establishes you as a human or a friend. And then you have your customer love, which is sort of the validator and the proof of your business, your services, you as a person. So we're going to put it together in a formula. So you take your pillar plus a pie slice, and then you get your post idea. So I'm going to give you some examples here. So let's say you are a local florist. And so your subject underneath your pillar, right, for your expertise is going to be, I'm going to talk about sustainable farming. That's one of my, that's my brand. And so your pie slice, which is your angle, is going to be behind the scenes. And so then your post becomes a video of the compost system or how flowers are harvested without plastic. Because it all fits together, right? You are the expert on sustainable farming. Your content pie is behind the scenes, and now you're just showing behind the scenes that supports what you are an expert in. So now if you are a nonprofit, like the Economic Alliance, who you are an expert in small businesses and helping them, right? And so your pie slice for this example is going to be customer love. Like, okay, we want to show customer love. So then you know your post is going to be a quote from a recent small business owner about how the organization helped them get set up. And see how easy it is to come up with a post when you know what it is that your pillar. Okay, I'm an expert here. Okay, now this is my pie slice, and now that I'm going to put it together in content. And so when you think about your posting strategy, this all goes back, we just talked about SMART goals. So depending on your business objective, your content pie can look different month to month. So your goals can change, that's totally fine. And then the percentage at which you talk about different things is also going to change. So when you lay it all out into this formula, it becomes, again, very easy to know what you're going to post from one month to the next, depending on your business goals. So let's say you want to have a growth month. This is great for new businesses or those launching something new, right? So then you might break it out as, okay, I'm going to do 40% education because I need to prove that I'm the expert. So a big chunk of my content is going to be on that. And then I want to really increase engagement and again, grow my community. So I'm going to also do 20% in lifestyle relatable content. That's the sort of shareability human aspect. And then I want to share my why because I want people to want to work with me, right? So I'll do that as 20% too. And then you still have 20% left, which you can split between the other content pie pieces that you feel like are relevant to you, which might be, I want to do some behind the scenes and I want to do some offers because I still want people to book my services or buy my product. Maybe you just want to have a relationship month, right? You feel like you have a good following, but maybe your connections aren't that strong and you really want to deepen the loyalty that you have to your brand. Because there are more people coming in who are taking over the space, like Dollar Shave Club did with Gillette. You know, you're like, okay, there's more players coming in. I really need to engage with my community this month and I'm going to focus on relationships. So that's when now you can see your content pie percentages might shift. So I'm going to show more behind the scenes content. I'm going to do 30% of my content this month with behind the scenes action. So I'm really showing people why they want to come to me, really the heart of the process of what I do. Way more customer love because you want people to trust you and come to you. So you're giving them proof. So 30% of my content is going to go to customer love. Again, I want to still provide value because that is still an important piece. So I'm going to have education, but that's not 40% anymore. I'm going to do just 20% education. And then the rest can be 20%, right? And maybe that's lifestyle content and again, my offers. Because at the end of the day, if you are offering something, you still need to tell people what you're offering. They're not going to figure it out on their own. So you can still sell. And then you're like, all right, I'm ready. I want to just have a month where I'm focused on revenue, driving sales. There's something specific. Maybe it's a product launch or you've got a big event coming up and you just need to get signups. That's totally fine. Like, great. We're going to focus this month on doing just that. So now your offers come into play. I'm going to spend 50% of my time posting about these offers, this event sign up, this product. Because I want people to have more of an incentive to buy immediately, I'm also going to make sure I have at least 20% customer love in there. So that way they know they're not really betting on, or they're not gambling on purchasing this thing. So you're going to overcome those initial doubts and fears. Your why. So we incorporate that in now, 50%, 15. Why this? Why does this matter? Like, why do you want to jump on this product or this event? And then the rest, you've got 15%, which maybe you can split between education and BTS. Education, I will say, it is my belief should always be in there because you want to always be providing value to people at the end of the day. And again, that continues to establish yourself as an expert. But again, the percentage to which that gets depends on what your goals are for the month, for 3 months. I split these up into a month, but you can have this be for 3 months. So to make it really easy, when you know, okay, I want to post this type of content, right? And let's say you want to post 3 times a week. Then you say, all right, every Monday I post education content. Every Wednesday I post behind the scenes, and every Friday I post my offer. You've just taken the guesswork out of it. You know exactly what you need to post on the specific days of the week. If you're posting 5 days a week, then maybe you have more, right? But every day is assigned a piece of the content pie that you have decided needs to be in there. And so now you're just going to build content for that. So we get to do some simple math. So first you can decide what's your monthly goal or what's your 3-month goal. So I want everyone to actually do this. So I want you to write down what it is that you want your goal to be either over the next month or over the next 3 months. We're building out 90 days of content, so you can think about it a little bit more long-term if you would like. And then once you've done that, I want you to then choose your posting frequency that feels reasonable to you. So how many times will you post per week? And I want you to just write that number down. And now I want you to basically take that number, and if you decided that you set your goal for a month, then you can multiply it by 4. And if you set it for 90 days or 3 months, then you can multiply that number by 12. Because there's 12 weeks in 3 months, roughly speaking. And that's how you'll come up with how many posts, either per month or how many posts total over the 3-month period that you're going to be creating. And now this is where you get to calculate how many posts belong to each piece of your pie. So then I want you to think about, you've got your goals, right, that you just set out. So now what is going to be the breakdown of your content pie, and assign percentages to that. And so you can write down your pie slices here. So if you go to the tab that says simple math for posting, then I want you to write down which pie slices you would like your content to be to support your goals, and then your target percentage. You're also going to fill this out. So you said how much you're going to post per week, and then how many posts per month. I have formulas in here, so you can just stick with me for, we'll just do it for a month to help you see. And I didn't even complete this over here. So you want to get to 100%. And then let me go back to the pie slices so you can see those. But then again, if you copy this, then you'll see the formula up here, and it shows you exactly how many posts in that pie slice per month you need to create based on your posting frequency and your percentages. And it's not that many. So let me go back to the content pie so that way you can all look at those, and then do your own sheets to fill out what you want that breakdown to be. And again, you want to think about your goals too, and what sort of pieces of the pie help support your goals. And you don't need to have all of these for everything, right? But I would try to choose at least 3 or 4 and incorporate that. And then I'll go back to this slide to also show you how those percentages might change based on these 3 different goals, in case that's helpful for you all as well. So the goal is to make all of this feel less overwhelming when you actually break it down. And so, has everyone had a chance to do that? So now we're gonna go put it all together, basically. And so this is how you could create 1 month of content with just one pillar and one content pie piece or subtopic. So I'm in my pillar, my signature pillar, and my subtopic is going to be FAQs. So now I can just create 4 posts very quickly. And I'll say I'm going to post this every Monday for a month. Now I know on Mondays, this is what I post. My audience comes to expect something like this every Monday when they come to my my channel or my page. So post 1, I'm going to make a reel answering the #1 most asked question. I don't need to think about what that is. It's just like, okay, what's the #1 question from a video? Great, done. Post 2, next Monday. I will post a carousel of 3 things you didn't know about, and I will determine that topic. Post 3. Maybe it's a photo of me working with a caption. I get asked this a lot. Just a photo, and then I just basically answer a question. But again, it looks different than the first post. Post 4, it can be a myth versus truth graphic. Again, I hear these misconceptions all the time. Here's the truth, here's the myth. Done. 4 posts, all underneath my area of expertise with my subtopic FAQs, because I'm establishing myself as an expert. That's my education topic. So now we're going to do it for you. So everyone is going to leave today with 90 days of content planned. You will still have to create it because we're not doing Canva also here. However, this will give you an idea to get started. And again, if you're not doing anything visual, it can be all just text. So looking at 3 months, we're going to go through sort of a typical sort of strategy that I would use with someone, where you spend month 1 really on building awareness. Month 2, you're moving them into the consideration phase. And then month 3, you're getting into conversions. So again, you're building up your audience. You're getting them to trust you. They're starting to thinking about either working with you or buying your products. And then 3, you can go more heavily into the offers. So we're going to go back to our content planning template. And in that first tab, that is for you to do. Basically, you can fill this out. So you've got your pillars here and your content pie here. So you have to fill in what you're going to do. Is it going to be education, behind the scenes, whatever over here? And again, that's based on the math that you did. So every month, or at least for the first month, right? I'm going to do 30% education, 20% BTS, 20% offers, and I'll do the rest here, and that will be 30%. I wouldn't necessarily do that, but there we go. So now I know this is how many posts I need to do in a month. Again, in these pie slices. So you put your pie slices here, and then you do your post idea here, just like I did here. So you know exactly what you're going to be creating. Yep, and so you might change this as well, because this is based on 3 posts per week. So again, you can make this your own for how you would like to post. So this is yours to fill out, but I put together the template with ideas to help you in case you get stuck. So here are the pillars that I am going to be sharing. And now here's basically what I'm going to be doing over there. So I'm outlining every single post. I know exactly what I need to do. And so once you have this all planned out, and this is what I would do, is basically at the end of a month, you plan out the next month's content. And if you do it this way, you dedicate one day, basically it's like a half day, where you lay this out, you design your content so you know exactly what's going where. And you can also include over here, like link to the post that you've created, right? If you save it in Google Drive or wherever else you might create your content. And then you don't spend hours on the days that you're trying to post. You spent all that time up front, but at one time when you're already thinking and you're in the mindset of creating your content. So you sit down, this could take you maybe 4 hours, right? You put all of the posts together and then you start creating the content and you batch it all together. And this is it. This is all you have to do for 1 month, right? And you just create that at one time in one sitting, and then it takes you no time at all to post, and you know exactly when you're posting and exactly what you're posting. And then you can still spend, and this is what I would recommend, that you would go into whatever channel that you are posting this stuff and spend 20 to 30 minutes a day. That's it, because you want to engage with your audience there too. So if they are commenting on this, set aside 20 to 30 minutes at a dedicated time, and that you do that every day. You don't need to check 20 times a day unless you're a social media manager, and then you have to do that. That's your job. However, you doing it yourself, again, you just dedicate 20 to 30 minutes a day. It might be less if no one's commenting on it, but then you also know that people are commenting on it, and then you might need to shift your strategy a bit. But these things take time, so don't give up. That's why you want to do a month and see how people are engaging with you, and it's going to start getting into the algorithm. Don't give up if you post one time and then no one responds. Keep going. Give it a month, see how it goes, and that's why towards the end of the month, you might then plan the next or batch the next month's content.
I just want to say that these frameworks are really helpful in giving me a lot to think about. I think there's some more foundational work around, why am I the expert that I need to think about? But I think once somebody has those in place, then this gives someone a way to move forward. So thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you. I know the hardest part is that where you're like, oh, I do actually have to think about what it is that I'm doing, and that's the hardest part. Which I do believe it takes time. And then when you have a clear picture of it, this makes everything just so much easier. And I've been there. I've done all these things the wrong way and a smarter way. I like sharing personal stories too, but I was never anxious about posting when it was my full-time job. It was just like, cool, I did it. And then when I did start my own business and then realizing I need to also share things about me and what I'm doing, same exact thing. I was like, oh my God. And then I froze and was like, okay, I need to post today. I don't know what to post. What should I post? And then I would go in circles and waste a lot of time. And then just not post because I'd feel nervous. And then it's like, all right, Caroline, what do you teach and what did you used to do? You can do this for yourself too, but it forces you to think about what you're doing and what you want to do. So anyway, just know that I've been on all sides of this. You can get as specific as you want to, or not, with your posts. The post idea over here. Just keep in mind that this is your plan that you're going to follow, and then you're going to be creating the content. So you want to give yourself enough guidance that you're not, again, spinning your wheels on exactly what you want to create. So it can be, I want a video talking about such and such. Or you could say a video of me walking through my chicken coop talking about raising chickens, or something like that. But each of these steps shouldn't take too much time. Like, the point of doing it all at once, again, is to sort of batch the content at once while you're in the mindset of creating it. And instead of splitting it out and then taking away hours of each day, you just dedicate a half day to doing this once a month, and then you're done. And just so you know, you can also change the pillars. I did it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 to keep it pretty even. But if you want to do less, say, industry perspective and replace that with something else, you can. But keep in mind, you still want to create somewhat of an even balance between the pillars. If you really want to speed up the process with post ideas, this is also where AI comes in handy, where you give it all the information of your business goals and your pillars and the content pie slice that you're going to cover, and say, give me 4 post ideas for BTS content that shows me as an expert in this subject, whatever you've established. That supports my business goals of this. So again, all of this you still need, but again, it can help generate ideas for posts. Use AI, speed up the process.
Caroline, I have a question. Do you find that I'm feeling like I have two different audiences. One would be more consumers, and then one would be more businesses and partnerships. And is there any downside for, I feel like they would each need their own plan. Is there any downside for using the same account for both audiences?
No, not at all. And that's a great question. And yeah, you would want to create either a different plan for them, or incorporate what I would do is add in a column here that says who your audience is if you have more than one audience, which a lot of people also do, because you want to make sure the content that you are putting out is speaking directly to that audience. You don't want to mix them into one post.
Thanks. It's really helpful.
And I think that's going to be the subject of next month's class, Caroline, is that right? Finding your audience online and determining how to speak to your specific audience that you're targeting. So that will be what we talk about on February 10th when we hold our next class for the source.
You're queuing me out, Philippe. Like, all right, this is all just coming together.
Nice.
But I do see that a lot where people are trying to address everyone at once. And then you end up not addressing anyone, and then your content doesn't resonate with the audience that you hoped it would. So splitting it out is great. And I can even just do that in this template right now. Lisa, are your two audiences on the same platform, or would you find them on different platforms?
I think they would both be on LinkedIn, but for Instagram, that's probably where I would reach consumers.
Yeah. Because that's where you can make this even more granular and also then share where you're posting the content.
Yeah.
And then you can break it out by platform as well.
Mhm. Like that idea.
Mhm. And it can be very similar. You don't want to necessarily copy and paste exactly, but again, you can follow the exact same format, but then tweak it slightly so it works for people on LinkedIn versus Instagram.
Mhm.
If anybody has questions on anything too, you can always reach out for help. My email address is on here and my phone number. Yeah, hope to see you all in February too for the next one.
But yeah, otherwise, we thank you all for coming and hope to see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your days.
Thank you so much. This was really great.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.